Okay, so as you guys most certainly know by now, I have Automowers and I kind of swear by them. I really like using them. So about 6 years ago, I purchased a Husqvarna 315X. That's a two-wheel drive Automower, and that did a fine job. I still use it on part of my property. And then last year, I purchased a 435X Husqvarna, and with the exception of a few issues I had initially, since then it's been going almost flawlessly. It's been a very good Automower. I've been using it all season this year as well. It's doing a great job. But one thing that I kind of wished that Automowers would be able to do would be to mulch leaves in the fall. I have a push mower that's an electric push mower that I use every fall to mulch the leaves that fall on my grass, or at least as many as I can. And I get a lot of leaves on my property, and it's a lot of work between that and blowing leaves and scooping them up and throwing them in the backwoods, all that stuff. So I was kind of hoping that there might be a way to get my Automower to mulch leaves. I had seen one or two videos with Automowers kind of doing it, and it got me thinking about whether mine could. So in past years in the fall, I tried doing it with the 315X. I would just let it go, cut the grass in the fall with the leaves falling, just to see if it would cut any leaves up. Didn't really do anything. And I tried the same thing with the 435X last fall. I figured because it's all-wheel drive, maybe you can get through thicker leaves and start chopping some of them up. Didn't really do the job either. And it seems to me like the razor blade based Automowers, of which most of them are, have some fundamental limitation with being able to mulch leaves. Now, I don't know if what I'm about to discuss here is an actual fix to the problem, but I figured I would at least talk about it here before this fall starts. Right now it's July 2023, and if I talk about this with you guys, and if you guys have Automowers and you want to try it, at least I'm giving you an idea to try this fall. Maybe it'll save you time. I'm going to try this myself as well, and we'll see how it goes. So the basic idea with these Automowers is that you have these little razor blades that pivot on a shoulder screw, and you need to have enough of a gap on the shoulder portion of the shoulder screw for the razor blade to kind of move up and down and slide around. So that way, when you mount this whole thing, I'm trying to do this with one hand here, so just bear with me. When you mount this onto your disc, imagine this is the disc on the bottom of the Automower, and there's 3 mounting points for these screws to have razor blades. The razor blades are normally seated inside the disc, and when the disc starts spinning, these blades, through centrifugal force, they come out like this, and then they cut the grass. And the grass is grass isn't a hard object. It's soft enough and pliable enough that the mass of the razor blade is larger than the mass of the grass, and so the blade just cuts through the grass. But if the blade runs into something like a toy or a garden hose or whatever that's a bit heavier, the blade will get pushed back like this, right? Because it can pivot on the shoulder screw. And I think what's happening, and by the way, this is a feature of Automowers, so that they don't end up chopping up things in your yard that they're not supposed to. But that could be the same reason why they're not mulching leaves, because if it hits a leaf, especially if it's a pile of leaves and they're kind of thick, the blade's not going to stick out there and force its way through the leaves. It's just going to get pushed back like this, and it's not really going to cut. There could at least be a partial reason why these Automowers are not capable of mulching leaves. So all you really have to do, I think, is to find a way to make the razor blade stuck in the outward position. Now, that's not the way it was designed. It's not the way it's originally intended to operate. So I wouldn't recommend doing this throughout the entire mowing season. But just for the fall, when you have leaves on the ground, hopefully dry leaves, maybe if you can mount the blades in such a way so that they're always sticking out, even when the disc isn't spinning, so that when they hit a leaf, the leaf isn't going to push the blade back in like this, because the blade is kind of stuck. So let's say it's glued here, okay? It's always going to stick out. Then it might actually be able to chop through the leaves. So the way to do that, at least the easy way to do that, is if you have a bunch of used blades. Is if you cut your grass throughout a season, you might change the blades maybe once or twice through the season. If you take 3 blades and you stack them up, at least for the Husqvarna mowers, for the particular type of shoulder screw you have, 3 razor blades is thick enough to take up all of the slack on the shoulder. And maybe you need a little bit of a washer in there just to make sure. But if you take this and you mount it into the disc that these mount into and you screw it down tight, that should lock the blades down. So you just got to make sure all those 3 blades are aligned and they're sticking out, and you screw it down real tight, and that should hold in the outward position. If it doesn't, if it still moves around a bit, then maybe take a little washer and put it underneath, so that way when you screw it down, you make sure that this is nice and tight in the outward position. You do it for all 3 blade locations. So you would need most likely 9 blades, preferably used ones, and then you just mount them in the outward position. 3 blades thick, that's more mass, so that's going to push through the leaves more. And because the blades themselves are kind of stuck in this position, they're not going to retract. So I'm going to try this myself in the fall, in a couple of months, and we'll see how it goes. But I want to put this out there for other people to try as well with their Automowers, because I wouldn't want you guys to have to wait a whole other season to go by for me to test this and say that it worked, and then you could have used it this fall if only you had known a few months earlier. So it's an experiment. I can't guarantee that it'll work. If anyone else has tried this, please let me know in the comments. I'd be very curious to see if it has worked for you. But in any case, there you go. That's the idea. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.